protect the guilty, shall we say. So I'm sitting there with Brian, and anybody who knows me knows this. I am in love with people. I mean, people say they're people who, no, people are like seriously my jam. I love to connect. I love to have conversation. I just love to engage with people. It literally jazzes me and gives me energy. So I'm sitting there with Brian, and I'm trying to connect, and I'm asking questions, and I'm engaging him. And Brian was definitely somebody who was very business focused, which is fine. It's cool. But everything was always about business. Everything was always about bringing it back to the what? Transaction. Everything was about the sale. Everything was about asking me, you ever feel like you're sitting in front of somebody and like they're grilling you? Like you're getting grilled. Like as if you're getting interviewed, or you're on the chopping block or something, and they're grilling you and you're thinking, this is just really not comfortable. And it's very uncomfortable for me because I'm usually very good at connecting with these people and everything. And then, hang on just a second. Oh yeah. And that's what kept happening. I mean, how many of us maybe might be guilty of this sometimes as well? And there's the thing, and oh wait, and it wasn't even like, let me just, this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. This is crazy. So finally, and I'm really working to engage because I really want to find out about this guy and about, I love, one of my favorite things in the entire world is to connect other people. I just get this jazz. I'm weird like this ever since I've been in hospitality. It just really makes me happy to connect people or to make their day or to make them smile or something. So I'm thinking, because I'm always thinking when I'm thinking, how can I help this person? How can I connect them with somebody who I know? And I only usually connect people that are memorable. Well, he's memorable, obviously, but perhaps, not for the right reason. And so finally at the end of this tedious, sometimes it's like a half an hour and it feels like an hour and a half and you're like, God. So finally he's like this, and he's got his phone and he's doing this, and he's like, okay, so if we're not gonna do business today, I gotta go because I gotta go make some money. And I'm like, are you seriously kidding me? I just literally was like, I had nothing to say, which for anybody who knows me knows how incredibly rare that one is. But I literally had nothing to say because I was literally flabbergasted beyond belief. It was, and I've seen this before, and people are always checking, and I even have to maybe caution my husband about that sometimes, or even myself at times. But I couldn't believe that he had said, well, if we're not going to do business, I got to go make money. And then to follow that up later, I even got an email asking, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He could be the greatest, not even going to say again to protect the guilty, the greatest one doing what he does on the planet Earth. If he was the last one doing it, I would figure out how to do it myself. So I didn't have to hire him. Because it was really clear to me what the problem was. And like I said, sometimes we might be guilty. I don't know about any of the others, but I know sometimes maybe intimately we might know some people that do this. And the problem is this, is that this has gotten in the way, which we already know happens all the time. And what it's done is it's caused us to become very transactional. And we're all here for business. And technology is a reality. And transactions are a reality because nothing happens until something gets sold. But the problem is when we approach people with that, that's where the problem lies in. So I started thinking, well, it's the season. What's the lessons out of this? The lessons are so many, but let's just talk about like the 3 greatest gifts that will never ever fit, 3 of the greatest gifts, not the only ones, but that would never fit in a box or a bag or anything else. And what I really was realizing was something that I actually committed to doing years ago, was being fully present. Isn't that one of the greatest gifts we could give somebody, is really our full attention? So that we're not always checking. Now, I'm very ADD, so I do have to set a thing, because I could be like 3 hours later, ask Lori. We could be 2 or 3 hours later, and that's okay. But if you're constantly checking, you're not fully present with that person. If you're not fully present with that person, how are you going to do the next of the greatest gifts, which is connect? Isn't that really, truly, ultimately? God created us for connection. Connecting through the heart, through the mind, through the body, through the soul, all of that. But that can't happen until we do one thing, and that's care. And I know we know this, and we're like, yeah, of course, I know this, duh. But if we know this, why are we still doing the things that don't? Right, it's distraction. Absolutely, it's complete distraction, and that's really just a bad habit that we can change. But it comes down and it's rooted in actually caring about people. And connecting is more than just talking, because that guy was talking, but he was not connecting in any way, shape, or form. And he was certainly not fully present. And what that looks like is getting really curious. Getting curious, asking questions, and putting maybe their interests or what's important to them ahead. And that's how you're going to find out what you need to know in order to be able to take it to the next thing. It can't just be transactional. It has to be where we treat people like they're treasures. That's my favorite saying, is treat people like treasures, not like transactions. And today we become so transactional. And getting curious. And finally, the third one, and I think it's at the core of it all, and that is to come from a place of generosity. Again, but the reality is this. I think if we look at where we spend our time and we show what our priorities are, that'll actually show, are we coming from a place of generosity? And it sounds natural, but the reality is this also. As humans, we really have an instinct of self-preservation and self-serving. That's just true. That's just human nature. So it's not always natural to put others first. It's to put ourselves and our own preservation first. Now, we can change that, but how do we change that? It goes back down to the core values. Because no matter how much we say one thing, or we put on a good face, or we do whatever, people are going to see what our core values are. Because our core values lead to our beliefs, and our beliefs lead to our behaviors, and our behaviors definitely show our priorities. And we also spend money there. So if you want to know where your priorities are, look where you spend your time and your money. And that will show through in every transaction or every connection or everything that we do. People will be able to see where our heart lies. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to invite you to a challenge. There's only about 2.5 weeks, I think, I don't know, we're the 12th or whatever we're at right now. It's about 2.5 weeks or so till the end of the year. And this is a great practice for leading into the next year, because it's not like we can just say, oh, I'm just going to change this and that's it. So here's the challenge. The challenge is to just start noticing. Start noticing when you do this, because the first step of everything is awareness. So we just start paying attention. And here's the thing. This is going to magnify your business immensely, but imagine how it could transform your relationships. Whether that's somebody close, or even it can turn ones that are acquaintances into friends. You know, you never know who you're going to meet and how you're going to be able to impact them. Maybe it's even just a stranger, like someone I met in the store, and we just started having this conversation, and little did I realize the person next, the gal, the cashier next, was listening. And when I was leaving, and she pipes up and she says, "Can you come through my line next time?" I was just taken, I was like, wow, so you don't know. So even just that moment that you might be standing in front of somebody for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. So that's my invitation and my challenge to you for the end of this year. And what an amazing thing will that do to be to set up your next year going into, because everybody's going to be thinking about all the changes next year. But what if we just started now? What if it started impacting now, even when you're in your family things? Because some people don't like their family things. And I love them, but perhaps this might even transform some things in our family, and I'm going to leave you with that thought for today.
Awesome.